Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I've recently done a couple videos talking about baits that either exceeded my expectations or baits that I had high expectations for that I purchased and they met those expectations. And in those videos that I've done, I've had a lot of viewer suggestions to do the opposite. What are some baits that I had high expectations for that were not met? And this is one of those videos, I know I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have a lot of viewers that are like, they're disagree with it. I potentially will get comments and emails from companies reaching out telling me, I'm a jerk for doing this. But the reality is, for all the baits that are good out there, there's a lot of baits that are not great. And these are baits that did not meet my expectations. It does not mean that there aren't people out there that like them. There doesn't mean that there aren't a ton of people out there winning tournaments on them. I really don't know. They did not meet my expectations, and because of that, they've gone into what I consider my junk bins. If you guys see all these baits that I've got hanging on the wall, this is all stuff that I use. I would say 90% of the stuff that's in this room is all tournament ready stuff. So, the stuff on the wall are replacement packs for stuff that I carry with me to tournaments. That way, when I get home, I can fill. If I use something up, I can grab it off the wall, order something, and I've got what I need, and then I can replenish the wall. Well, when a bait gets bumped off the wall, or I buy something that I don't like, it goes in the junk bins. I've got 3 really large junk bins, 2 that are for plastic, 1 that are for hard baits, and they're just piles of stuff that I know I'm not going to use. I end up giving away a lot of the baits. I use a lot of them as giveaways for charity type things. There's a lot of baits that go to my boys' schools now for raffles and donations and things like that. I give them away, or I end up selling some of them. I just don't have enough room to have them all hanging there, and because I know I'm not going to use them, that's where they go. So I just went into the junk bins. I pulled some baits out that I have not had good experiences with. They did not meet my expectations. I want to share that with you. Please feel free in the comment section to tell me how wrong I am. I know that'll happen, but this is my experience. A lot of viewers have asked me to do this, so let's jump right into it. All right, so the first one is this vibrating jig right here. This is a longest baits. It's the Funnel Gladiator vibrating jig. It's a vibrating jig design that's got a plastic collar around the jig head. The idea behind this was to create extreme vibration and movement. I bought a handful of these because I like the concept. When I look at it, I'm like, why wouldn't you just add a bunch of things together? Well, when I go to use it, I kind of find that they are counterintuitive and they don't actually work that well together. One of the biggest issues I have with this bait personally is the cone head really grabs a lot of water and it prevents the bait from moving. Now, in my opinion, a vibrating jig is the best when it has erratic motion in it, when it's darting all over the place. That's what creates a lot of your reaction strikes. Well, in this case, I actually feel like that funnel head acts as an anchor, and you don't get a lot of crazy movement like you get with your other vibrating jigs. So I was very disappointed in this bait. I actually threw this quite a bit locally on the river in places I catch a lot of fish, and I have yet to catch a fish on it. Doesn't mean it doesn't work, but for me, I just, it's one of those things. If I don't have the confidence in it and it doesn't look good to me, and if I'm not catching the fish, I'm not building confidence. If it doesn't look good, I don't have confidence in the way it looks, I'm just not going to keep using it. And from that standpoint, the Funnel Gladiator did not meet my expectations. And I'll put links to all of these in the video description so you guys can go check them out for yourself if you want to see specifically what the baits look like. So that was one bait. Another thing that I generally do, at least I used to do a lot more than I do now, when I would go to a new lake for a professional level tournament, I do a lot of research. I try to figure out the hot baits, the colors, the things that I need for that certain body of water. And one of the first times I went to Lake Okeechobee, I'm going to say back 2011, 2012, somewhere in there, I did a lot of research. One of the baits, I've actually got two here that I bought for that tournament. One of the baits that I bought because I'd read some stuff on it, and I thought would become in handy if a cold front hit, was this guy, the Gambler BB Cricket. Really a very do nothing small cross style bait. The things I read online was that it was a bait you used to punch mats with. If there was a cold front, the fish would respond to this. So I had one rigged up. I used it. Never caught a fish on it. Have still never caught a fish on it, to be honest with you. Now, I probably have not given it its fair shot since that first tournament at Lake Okeechobee, but the reality was we had cold front conditions, and I had much better luck flipping mats with other baits. And it's one of those baits that kind of is similar to that funnel Gladiator. Like, I do not, when I look at this, I kind of give more of the why would I use that type look. It's just such a do-nothing bait. There's nothing that really makes me want to pick that up and throw it. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. I would love to know, are guys still throwing this in Florida, or has it kind of been pushed by the side with all the other new plastic baits that are coming out? Personally, if I'm looking for a bait that doesn't have big flappers on it, I'm probably going to grab a creature style bait, or I'm a beaver style bait, something that's got, you know, a big tail on it, but it doesn't have big movement. It just kind of gives you the same profile in a way. I don't know. I'd love to know, are guys still using the BB Crickets? Because that is one that I bought a bunch of, and it's in the junk pile now. Another one that I bought for that tournament was the Gambler Big Easy. This is a bait. I know a lot of people like it. For me, though, the issue I have is hookups. I've had a lot of bites on this. I've had really good action on this on Okeechobee. I've had good action on it at Leech Lake, places like that. I have terrible hookups on it. And if I go to a bigger hook, I find that it doesn't come through the grass as well as I would like it to. So for me, I've not really thrown this since probably the second time I was at Okeechobee. I've replaced it either with a toad style bait like a horny toad, which I think you get much better hookups on, or if I want to throw a minnow style bait, I personally prefer the Reaction Innovation Skinny Dipper, which has a skinnier profile and I get better hookups on. So the Gambler Big Easy, I know there's a bunch of people that have a following of that, especially down in Florida. Didn't make the cut for me. I think I've got better options that are more efficient and productive that have replaced it. Another line of baits that I was really excited for when they first came out, and I don't know if these are all made or have been discontinued. I really don't know, guys, because I don't look to purchase them anymore. But this was one that Lucky Craft came out with that I was really excited for. And it's basically a whole series of baits. It's their live series. Bunch of segmented pieces in there that allow the hard bait to bend and move and supposed to give it a more natural appearance. I'm not saying it doesn't give it a more natural appearance. The problem I have with it is they generally end up getting a kink in it. So when you go to use them, they don't run right. I've had it happen with their jerk baits. I've had it happen. They had Sammy, live Sammys, so their topwater walking dog or topwater walking style bait had it too. And if it gets kinked in it, they just didn't run right. They didn't run like the full hard baits in that series. So like if you were to compare it to the pointers, it didn't run as deep. It just didn't have the motion that the other pointer did. The Sammys didn't run right. It just never really seemed to be that good. The other issue that I run into with multi-segmented baits like these is my hookup percentage. You know, if a fish comes and grabs it and you go to set the hook and they move in the right direction, they can actually take a lot of that penetration, that power that you get from setting the hook out of the hook set. So I found that the few bites that I did get on it, I never really got really good hook sets. So for me, I think the idea was really good. It just never really seemed to work. And again, I don't know if those are still around or not. I know you see them still sold in certain places, but I don't know if they're still made. So that was one. The last bait I got for you was one that I was excited to come out. You know, I was still living down in the Chicago area doing a lot of smallmouth fishing off the lake, the Chicago lakefront on Lake Michigan. And at that time, the Goby style baits were really popular. And this was one that came out by Poor Boys. This is the Swim Goby, the Swimbait Goby. So they had a other Goby line that did produce some fish. This was one that I was excited for because it was kind of early in the swim bait craze too. It just didn't perform. I didn't get the swimming motion that I expected out of it. They were really kind of shaped all over the place out of the package. You can see, like in this case, you've got fins all kind of in different directions. I don't know if that's a mold issue or that was a packaging issue. Not even sure if they still sell this bait or not. The other thing is the idea of having a cup in the head for a jig head to fit in, I think is a good idea. But if you didn't have the right jig head, it didn't really line up that good. Ultimately, I just felt like the motion on it, the movement, the look, it just was disappointing based on other Goby style baits that were coming out at the time. Still have a bunch of bags of these that are in the junk bin. I don't know if I'll ever use them again. I don't know if somebody wants them. Maybe I'll hand them out. Anyways, those are baits that did not meet my expectations. Probably get some nasty emails, but the point is, you know, try them. If you think that they're going to work in your area, buy a pack, give them a try, and make the determination for yourself. I feel like I've put the time in to determine for myself that these baits are not going to be in my tackle box moving forward, and they're going right back in the junk bin. So let me know in the comments section, what are some of the baits that you guys bought that did not meet your expectations? There's a lot of them out there that come and go that generally don't meet the expectations and the hype that are around it. So if you enjoyed today's video, let me know. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.